Task for today. So, no more rain. Sun's sort of out. So today, I think I want to start tackling. I'm not going to install them. We're going to get all the things pre-drilled. So all this structure, the aluminum pieces I got for the top structure for the plywood and panels and Sherpa L-track, I'm going to get all those mapped out. So I have all the rib nuts installed. Obviously, I did a very easy video for that. Yeah, no struggles. So what I'm doing now, I've got all my lengths here, and it's 1/8 inch thick. I probably didn't need to use something this thick, but I want something a little bit stronger. So what I'm going to do, I just used these as a straight edge, and I've got a line in the middle, center for this piece, and then this is the center point in that. So I'm gonna get I got my little hole puncher marker mabob, and that'll be the center riv nut in. There we go, let's do the camera a little bit. That'll be the center riv nut, and then I'll just measure out from each one and where to put each hole, all in that line. So, I got a ruler, and it's bendy. So I'm gonna get up, I'll go center hole, and I'll just measure from the center and each side and follow the contours. So when this pulls up, I'll hopefully get these as close as possible for drilling and mapping out the holes. And then maybe I'll install one today. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I took off the plastic covering for the factory wiring. I'm still debating of taking that apart and then rerouting it through behind all the inside there. Like, it's not hard by the looks of it, but man, I should just do that. It just is a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. Less things to deal with. So maybe I'll do that. Undecided. All right, hole number 1. Looks pretty good. All right, let's go take some measurements and come back and do this again. Okay, so starting with this first back one there, that was like very well done. So I got the center hole. I measured, I usually like going inches, but I'm going centimeters on this one just cause. And I ended up with 28, I can be a little more fine here. So I got 28.7 centimeters from each edge for the first, this rib nuts on each side of that. And then I should have 2 more somewhere in here and here. Each piece should have 5 rib nuts. So we'll get this one done and see if I did it right or not. We got a 16th drill bit. Pilot these holes, and just to make sure I don't drill through the table, I put a little piece of wood down there. Let's be safe, because this ain't even my table. There we go. Yeah. So, and the screws, so I got these, they're stainless, 1/4 20, but 3/4 of an inch, countersunk flathead screws. Just got them on Amazon so everything can sit nice and flush. Hex key size 5/32. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah. That's the hex key size. I was like, wait a minute, what did I do? 1/4 20 by 3/4. These should be pretty good there. So I got to countersink all these holes and everything will sit nice and flush. That's the thought. So the challenge with this, these screws and the thickness of the metal, I'm going to use this wider bit. There's 4 different bits here, and it's probably too small. So I'll try to get as wide of a countersink as possible to handle these. So what I notice is these are pretty big heads on these, but because those rib nuts are inset into the frame, everything's kind of indented. With the 1/8 thickness of the metal, this should thread just so, I think. And I will say, just be forewarned, if any of you actually attempt what I'm doing or think this is a smart way to do it, I'm not wearing any gloves, and this is a ton of like metal bits that very easily end up in your finger. So I should probably take my own advice and wear gloves wherever I can. There we go. Number one. Get the camera in here and take a nice look. So that's pretty cool. There we go. All these holes. And then the screw sits pretty flush. I'm gonna go through that way, up into the rib nut. Maybe I do remove that factory wiring. How do I get this out of there? For the love of Gord. Okay. Only half broke it. Now I know what those look like on the inside. Alright, let's attempt this again. You thought it was going to be easy. Back these out, so that's good. I should put some, I probably will put anti-seize or some kind of lubricant, but that looks pretty cool, man. Pretty good. So it widens these. This is 5 inches wide and it's an 1/8 inch thick material. So once this gets all in and bolted, I'll fix that. And all in attached, I've got the shorter pieces that'll lock in between. This is going to be great for all that L-track. I can just stick with the holes in all the L-track and just clamp it in. And then whether I use the L-track for cabinets or whatever, there's all kinds of extra, like a 5-inch strip of material that'll run up here, which gives lots of room to actually screw something into stuff that I would call it fairly structural. I'm gonna probably put a bit of silicone underneath it, and then I was debating of just to kind of dampen so it's not metal on metal, and then I was debating of putting foam inside all these cross braces here, the structure. Undetermined, but so far so good. Number one. All right, back at her. So what I didn't film it, but here's my sealing stuff, and I countersunk all the holes, and I'm taking the sharpness, like the point of the screw off up here, so it's not as pokey for any potential wires. So that gives you an idea. Nice countersunk holes, nice and flush, and going the whole way, all the way down. I got these 4 installed, and that's not going to go anywhere. This little bit has a bit of flex, but it won't matter once all this is screwed in. And I did a hole punch, and I punched all the holes for the L-track. So I'm going to drill them out and tap them, and then we'll get the L-track installed. So that's a bit of an idea on what's going on here, a bit of progress. The L-track does stick a little past this. I'm leaving this open. I'll have to remove it. The L-track could be removable with screws, machine threaded screws. And I'll figure out what to do here and tap that. And then the other thing is I gotta figure out the trim here. So I've got another piece for this. So the L-track does stick up past here, but I can deal with all that later. All right, I got most of the holes drilled on the one side, and I got them drilled and tapped, and I just started installing the L-track. And I'm just got, these bolts are a little long. They're 1/4-20s, and what I think I might end up doing is putting, there we go. There we go. In. I think what I might end up doing is putting a nut on and washer on the other side, because you can get easy access up here, and I can just put a bolt, so I'm not just relying on the threads here. You'd have to pull everything through. Like, this is so solid. This is, she's going nowhere. And we got a dangler right now, but I'll fill that in. There we go. Side one of L-track done. Some ghetto wires and some lights, and yeah. There we go. And I'll figure out what to do back here as well. So everything just, it gets so dark so early. It's like 2 in the afternoon. Not really, but yeah, 6 o'clock, 6, yeah, dark by 6 at this point, and it's only gonna get worse. So boy, I wish I had got this done in the summer when it was light out. Alrighty folks, that's the final bit of, well, mostly final bit of installing what the ceiling looks like. Structural members of the ceiling, L-tracks installed, really solid, thin. Heck yeah. So that's hopefully you like that idea on getting kind of a ceiling structure in your van for not a crazy cost, having to buy the molded and stamped stuff. Yeah, it probably fits really well, but the cost on it is just quite a lot more than what this is. And these are easily removable. You're not sticking and gluing wood to your roof. I don't know, it doesn't seem wise to me. So having this aluminum and riv nutted in, it's thin, it's solid, doesn't rust. What more do you want? So yeah, I think I did put spray foam up in all of the cross beams as well. Hope you like some of this or this idea, and yeah, depending on where you're located, reach out to like a local metal shop or something and get a price on these. It's pretty easy to measure. I just did 5-inch strips and then measure in between, give yourself a little bit of play, and you're good to go. There's a ton of drilling, definitely a bit of work, but I don't know, saving $2,000 is, you know, you might be able to buy an air conditioner or a fridge or something for that. Actually, that money could be used to get a water heater, because right now, I don't know what I'm going to do for that. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope that idea helped.